I think one of the key things for me is, this question, what is R&D? I think it's at least as varied in practice and in the question as everyone in the room. So, if we've been doing anything at Watershed over the last 15 years, it's going on a journey with all of the people that we work with and for. As Ruth said, it's been a journey that's about artist and audience. It's about collision. Sometimes it ends up in car crash. Sometimes we're lucky and we get a bit of fusion. But for me, it's all about the questions. It's all about questions that galvanize new thinking. And what digital has done is brilliantly disrupt. I just love that messy space when you really don't know what's going on. Every now and then, I've been known to start pontificating, and it sounds like I know what I'm doing. If I do that today, stop me. Key thing is keep stepping into the space where you don't know what's going on. So what we've been up to is if I'm going to try and use some buzzwords, we talk about innovating at the intersection of art, technology, and society. And I think the society bit is probably the most important bit in those three. So while we built a reputation in the early noughties, very much through publishing lots of stuff on the web, most of it still works. At the time, half of our reputation was completely chimeric, because most people, it crashed their machines. Most people hadn't actually seen what we were up to. But we really built a reputation. This is before YouTube or any of those things. But for us, it was never about the finished product. It was never about the publishing and distribution. It was always about the network. It was all about how could we build capacity in the network? How could we build a much stronger system? And very much really respecting that, the internet is a network. It's a communication system. The power is at the periphery. We've certainly seen that in the Middle East. No longer is it a broadcast world. It's absolutely about a connected world. And so the power is at the periphery. And so it's very much for us about value in the network, not value for the institution. There was one moment where we really began to understand that. It was about 2005. We did a very big project with HP, who happened to have their European research labs in Bristol. HP reliably tell us that we produced the first films made in the cloud. It wasn't called the cloud at that time, it was called utility computing. It got us into some very, very difficult hot water with our main funder. They really didn't think we should be helping a big corporate develop new technology. It made us go, okay, if we're not being understood, let's step over here. And it actually was a great moment because it just gave us the confidence to step into a bigger world, to step into society. Not leaving the arts behind, but cross a boundary. And it was very much that sense that we could actually be of value to a big corporate, as well as local artists and audiences and the arts world, that began to get us really thinking about what was our role. And we've actually come to understand that if we're completely comfortable with our funders, we're probably not doing our job, we're probably not being difficult enough, we're probably not asking our own question, we're answering somebody else's. So the focus is very much on talent, on emergent practice, very much about letting the idea lead. Don't follow the funding, harness the funding to help the talent test out the idea. We work all the time with a whole mix, academics, artists, creative companies, tech companies, many of them co-located in our pervasive media studio, where everyone's equal, everyone's got knowledge, and it's the difference that drives the power. And the whole deal is, if you work with us, you're interruptible, you've got to help somebody else. And it's very much about fail every day, and then it just becomes, hey, another failure. But make sure you learn every day and share the learning to build a much stronger and more resilient system. And critically, it's about seeking out the difference. For me, diversity is our big untapped asset in the world today. If you're not being asked awkward questions, you're not going to have to think afresh. We recently ran a State of the Arts conference. We called it No Boundaries, trying to push out. Ran it with Marcus over there from Pilot. we used a lot of tech. And in the end, it worked. And you know, it wasn't so much the tech worked, it was actually the communication setup worked, that people communicated across space. But even more than that, there were some really good speakers, and I'm going to finish with one from Nee Saki. I don't know if people know Nee, who's chief exec of Bigger Fish, and he said, get comfortable with your uncomfortableness. He was very much talking about diversity feels awkward, but if you don't get comfortable with feeling awkward, you're not going to step forward. Thank you.